Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bearcat Update. Today, I'll be updating you on how the seasons are looking for our spring sports. From senior day to live on Sunday, we've got a lot to cover. So let's get right into it. The women's basketball team continues to be an unstoppable force, bringing their win streak to 7 games and improving to 17-10 on the year. Beating Northeastern State and Arkansas Fort Smith against the Riverhawks on Thursday, Northwest opened the game with a strong defensive effort. Highlighted by Sadie Moss's early block, the Bearcats gained momentum in the second quarter, tallying 23 points to propel them to a 68-56 victory. Kirsten Hauk led the way with 16 points and 3 assists, and Northwest kept the momentum rolling into senior day against the Arkansas Fort Smith Lions on Saturday with a triumphant 62-54 victory. Birmingham led the scoring effort with a career-high 25 points, making 6 three-pointers on 8 attempts. Brooklyn Stanley also contributed significantly with 7 assists while collecting 9 rebounds. The Bearcats will head to Wichita, Kansas on Thursday to take on the Newman Jets. The men's basketball team picked up a hard-fought 87-80 win at home against the Northeastern State Riverhawks on Thursday. Royce Williams led with 25 points and secured 10 rebounds and earned his 3rd career double-double, while freshman Robbie Garcia added a career-high 24 points. Aiden Gare caught fire late, draining 3-pointers consecutively to turn a 60-59 deficit to a 68-65 advantage. Despite Northeastern State's effort to keep the pace, the Bearcats maintained their edge. Northwest headed into senior day's matchup against Arkansas Fort Smith, focused on clinching consecutive victories and maintaining consistent play. Northwest opened the game with a defensive play as Royce Williams secured a steal at the start. Despite trailing at various points, Northwest Missouri State remained competitive with contributions from Osa Obasahan, who scored a layup to put the Bearcats ahead 16-13. However, Arkansas Fort Smith ended with a half of scoring surge where Northwest trailed 39-30 heading into halftime. Despite a balanced scoring effort and an attempt at a second-half comeback, the Bearcats could not overcome the Lions in the final minutes of the game, losing 68-73. Northwest now sits at 13-15 on the year and 6-11 in the MIAA. Though the Bearcat teams split against Fort Smith, many seniors were still honored for their time in Bearcat Green, including women's Ella Moody and men's Royce Williams. Our reporter Destiny McDonald talked with both of them about the highlights and the hardships of their careers.
The last season is about more than just wins and losses. It's about legacy. For lone senior on the women's basketball team, as well as one of 7 seniors representing the men's team, their journeys to this moment has been shaped by the people that inspired them, the memories that defined them, and the leadership experience they've gained along the way. I sat down with seniors Ella Moody and Royce Williams to reflect on the adversities they faced and overcame, the moments that mattered most, and the advice they hope to pass on to the next generation. For Ella Moody, her legacy included the resilience she built while battling many injuries throughout her college career.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be trials and tribulations in a season. For me specifically, I've had quite a number of different injuries, my nose, my back this year. I think that it's just really important to continue to show up for your team, whether you're playing or not, and I think that seeing other people do that in years ahead of me has really influenced me, and I think that just showing up really matters.
Moody believes that showing up for your team is important no matter the circumstance, and for Royce Williams, that commitment paid off during his game-winning shot earlier this season.
One that definitely helped shape some of it was, I would say, my game-winning shot against UCM. Any child wants, or any kid that plays basketball loves to hit game-winning shots, so being able to do that.
Williams will always remember the shot that sealed the win over the University of Central Missouri, but for Moody, it's the moment spent with her teammates that she will never forget.
I think some of my favorite memories have been beating Mo West, obviously, and anytime we go on the road, it's always just fun to spend time with the girls, and we always play games and hang out, and it's just really a great time to bond with them and get really close with them, and I really appreciate that time with them.
For Royce, time with his teammates has helped him to share his basketball knowledge with the younger athletes on the team.
Just being more of an adult on the team, I would say, being one of the older kids, having 4 years of experience as well as playoff experience, being able to teach the young kids or kind of show them what college basketball is about and giving them the ropes to understand.
Williams feels showing his teammates the ropes has made him a better leader, but for Moody, it's about way more than being the loudest on the court.
I approach leadership as something that is not necessarily someone who's the loudest on the court or who's yelling and screaming all the time. I think that it's someone who shows up every day, who is positive, and I think that goes to all things in life. You just show up for the people you're surrounded by, and I think it makes them honestly better as well. So I think that that's something that I've learned a lot in this new leadership role.
Showing up for the people you care about matters, but for both athletes, showing up for yourself and putting in work daily is crucial to competing at the next level.
If you're passionate about something, I think that you need to work hard and focus on that and get better at what you really enjoy. It takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of extra work and things like that. And I think it's really important to just start young and just give it all you got and work really hard.
Stay in the gym, stay happy, and keep your mental right. College basketball is intense.
From big moments to great memories, Bearcat basketball is all about the people behind the game. Reporting from Northwest Missouri State University, I'm Destiny McDonald with Bearcat Update. Back to you.
The Northwest Missouri State University softball team will wrap up the Washburn Invitational today, where the Bearcats have already secured 2 wins. On Friday, the softball team started the Invitational with a 6-1 victory over the Rockhurst Hawks. The Bearcats capitalized on a 5-run 4th inning to solidify their win, with 6 different players each getting a hit. Pitcher Jaden Striegel improved to 4-1 with her 3rd complete game this season. Alexis Brown contributed 2 RBIs with a key hit during a bases-loaded situation. Sarah Farlow drew 2 walks, scored twice, and added an RBI to her performance. The next win for the Bearcats came on Saturday after dominating the Montana State Billings 10-2. The bats were active for the Bearcats as they went yard 4 times and racked up a season high of 16 hits. The baseball team clinched a 2-1 series win against Fort Hays State on Friday. In Game 1 on Thursday, it took a late rally for the Bearcats to secure the 11-10 victory. Game 2 saw a delay in the action due to the darkness, with the Bearcats leading 7-6 at the top of the 8th inning. Following a relocation, the game concluded the next day 8-10 in extra innings. The series then concluded with a 9-1 victory for the Bearcats, powered by a 3 RBI performance by shortstop Wilmer Jimenez. The Bearcats now sit at 10-5 on the season and 2-1 in early conference play. They'll be back in action next weekend as they take on Emporia State. And now, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, Gabe Porter and Jackson Phelps will give us their picks for the upcoming slate of MIAA and Bearcat games. We'll be right back.
Where did it go? My notebook on Northwest News has everything I need.
Is this what you're looking for? I get my news from the Northwest Missourian, or you can check them out on YouTube at KNWT TV.
Huh, okay. I guess I'll check it out.
To stay up to date in Maryville, tune into Digging Deeper with the Missourian every Monday at noon on KNWT TV.
Wait, how long have you been in my closet?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Porter's Picks. Let's start off our segment strong as we travel south to Warrensburg, Missouri, where the 2nd place Central Missouri Mules take on the 7th place Missouri Southern Lions. The Mules have moved into the number 25 spot in the NABC poll following big wins over Nebraska Kearney, Newman, Missouri Western, and Washburn. Missouri Southern, on the other hand, has settled on the edge of the MIAA tournament bubble as Kansas City creeps closer. Recently, they've dropped 2 close games to Northwest Missouri State and Missouri Western before picking up a win against Pittsburgh State 83-75. With that being said, I'll take the 2nd place University of Central Missouri 78-69 over the Lions. Next up is my MIAA matchup of the week. The University of Central Missouri Jennies take on the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. This matchup is definitely going to be one for the books, as the Central Missouri sits 2nd place in the MIAA with Pitt State right on their heels at the 3 spot. This game will be their first and only meeting of the regular season before they head into the MIAA tournament. The last time these two teams faced off was a stellar matchup as Central Missouri went into halftime leading by 5, 46-41, before a strong second half propelled Pitt State to an 82-72 victory. Despite recent history, I think I'll stay on trend today and go ahead and pick the Central Missouri Jennies, walking away with the win 73-65. Let's wrap up my picks this week with our Bearcat Update Game of the Week. Bearcat baseball is back and they'll be facing off against the Emporia State Hornets in a best-of-3 series in Emporia, Kansas. Both teams are off to hot starts. Emporia State is sitting at 9-1 and has 6 wins by 10 or more runs as they head into conference play. Emporia also has received MIAA recognition, with right-handed pitcher Colby Deaver earning his second MIAA Pitcher of the Week award. Bearcat baseball, on the other hand, is currently 8-4 and has already won 2 series with a pair of 3-1 series wins over CSU Pueblo and Arkansas Monticello. The Bearcats are looking to prove they belong at the top of the MIAA, but with Emporia already looking like the conference favorite, I'll go ahead and take Emporia State, winning the series 2-1. For one last look into this week's picks, I asked our other hosts their thoughts on this week's slate of games. Now, starting off with the Central Missouri Mules and Missouri Southern Lions, Wiley, Jackson, Hayden, and I all chose UCM to win this matchup. Moving on to our MIAA Game of the Week, this pick got shaken up just a little bit as Wiley and Jackson chose the Pitt State Gorillas to take home the win, while me and your BCU host, Hayden Lavaley, picked Central Missouri yet again. Wrapping it up with our Bearcat Update Game of the Week. Baseball is in full swing and the hosts are torn on who to take this series. Wiley, Hayden, and I are picking Emporia State to walk away with the 2-1 series win. But here in just a moment, Jackson will break down why he thinks the Bearcats will win this series. That's all for this week's edition of Porter's Picks. Let's send it to the other side of the studio to Jackson Phelps with this week's Bearcat Breakdown. Take it away, Jackson.
Thanks, Gabe, and welcome back to another week of Bearcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Jackson Phelps, and this week we'll be looking at baseball's next series against Emporia State. Let's dive in. Emporia State is one of the hottest teams in Division II to start the year. They began their 2026 campaign on a 6-game winning streak with some notable wins such as a 21-5 win over Minot State, a 13-0 victory over Adams State, and a 10-0 win over UMSL. Their only loss came against Southeastern Oklahoma 12-7. Northwest Missouri State has also been hot as of late, winning 3 in a row against Colorado State University Pueblo. They started the season splitting a 4-game series with Southwestern Oklahoma State and took the series against Arkansas Monticello 3-1. Now taking a turn over to some notable pitchers and batters for these two teams, starting with Emporia State. Sophomore pitcher Colby Deaver has only allowed 6 hits with no runs along with 26 strikeouts and a 3-0 record through his 18 innings pitched so far. Deaver has also earned MIAA Pitcher of the Week twice this season. A notable Hornet batter is freshman Evan Abbott out of Kansas City and Staley High School. Go Falcons. To start his freshman campaign, he is batting .347 with 17 hits, 4 doubles, 3 home runs, and 21 RBIs. Over on the Bearcats side, one standout pitcher has been sophomore transfer Jace Johnson, who through 12 innings pitched has posted a .375 ERA, a 2-0 record with 5 earned runs, and 12 strikeouts. A Bearcat batter who has been hot early this season is senior transfer Jeremiah Kobuyaban. Through 42 at-bats, he is batting .476 with 20 hits, 6 doubles, 4 home runs, and 12 RBIs, along with a great performance in the final game of the CSU series, going 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. Last year, the Bearcats and Hornets faced just once in a 3-game series, with the Bearcats getting the sweep 3-0 to end the regular season. Last season, the Bearcats made it all the way to the MIAA championship, and Coach Tony Jandren's first season, and their 56 home runs on the season were the most in program history. After taking a deep look into this matchup, I'm going to have to do the opposite of you, Mr. Porter, and take the Bearcats. I think the hitting from Northwest makes up for the weakness of the pitching to start this season. Emporia will put their best on the mound this series, but the way the Cats have been swinging it, I can see some high-scoring wins. I see the Bearcats winning the series 2-1. Well, that's been it for another edition of Bearcat Breakdown. Once again, I'm your host, Jackson Phelps. We're going to take a quick break, and when Bearcat Update returns, I'll be out with Wiley Ray for another edition of Weekend Sports Report. We'll be right back.
Welcome to KZLX-LP Maryville, an independent student-run station on the campus of Northwest Missouri State University. We play non-stop top 40 hits and offer a variety of different specialty shows. So tune in to KZLX 106.7.
Oh, hey, you're here. You ready to get started? Then let's go. At KNWT, we do a lot. We have sports, news, and so much more. But you're probably wondering, well, what do we do? Well, we do promos, behind-the-scenes looks at KNWT productions, and, well, everything creative in between. So, who are we? Well, we are Creative Services.
Welcome to the Weekend Sports Report. I'm Wiley Ray. Joining me is Jackson Phelps. Let's get right into it. Cue that intro. Now, Jackson, both teams right now are currently looking at a spot in MIAA Madness in March. The women's team has solidified their spot. They've clinched it, but the men's team, they're knocking on the door.
They sure are. Like you mentioned, the women's team had a good week this week in their games. They won both on Thursday and Saturday, clinching a spot in the MIAA tournament, much like last year as well. So this women's Bearcat team has been so phenomenal all season long. So they deserve a spot, but they're looking to get a little bit higher in the rankings as well because, if you can get a first-round bye, that would be awesome to, to sit the first day and take on the second and third day for it. But the men's team sits at 13 and 15 and then 6 and 11 in MIAA play. Currently right now at that 10 spot, which only 10 can make it. So they need to win out the rest of the season, and then they also got to have a couple of teams also take some losses as well.
Yeah, you're talking about, how they kind of split this week. They fell on Saturday, but like you said, it's still not over. They got to win out, and they do have to have some things happen for them, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But Jackson, they still look like a very competitive team, sitting tied 10th with Nebraska Kearney, who also fell in their game. That was a must-win. But this Bearcats team, they still look very strong despite the record.
Yeah, they sure do. They have players like Royce Williams, Robbie Garcia, who have been stepping up. Williams with 25 and Garcia with 24 in the loss on Saturday against Northeastern State. So still some pretty predominant players. And then on the women's side as well in their wins, it was Kirsten Hauk with 16 points against Northeastern, and then against Fort Smith, it was Birmingham with 25 points, her new career high as well. So both teams have the players to make it far in the tournament. It's just about how are you going to mesh it all together here in the last week of regular season play. And on the men's team, like you said, it's a very competitive MIAA field this year. Probably the most competitive we've seen in years past. So every single game is going to be a tough challenge, and this week is definitely going to be a test to see, are you ready to go play in Kansas City against these tough teams?
We were talking about this yesterday after the game. When you look at this Northwest team, and a lot of fans, I think, were a little bit skeptical when Keeley came in. They have to be happy now. I mean, it's not where you were at before, but it's still a nice climb from where you were in his first year, and in his second year, definitely finding himself in the middle of the pack and making the tournament is definitely the step that needs to be taken.
Right, and from year one, just being able to win at home, that was probably the biggest thing that we were all just like, this would be awesome to see. He did that, and he did even more than that. He's putting them within a chance to make Kansas City for the first time since he's gotten here. So, there's nothing to be sad about. I think he's doing a tremendous job with what he has been given. This senior transfer class came in as a brand new team, and they've gotten some good wins together. And I still think that there is still some fire at the end of the tunnel for this Bearcat team, and I don't think they're done just yet. I think this next week's going to be really fun to see how they respond to the loss on Saturday and use that to, gain some momentum in the next week.
Yeah, two very winnable games coming up for the Bearcats men's team. But Jackson, we talked about the seniors and how it was senior day yesterday, but a big freshman has started to shine for this Bearcats team. That's Robbie Garcia, and that is who I have for my Weekend Sports Player of the Week. Who's your Weekend Sports Player of the Week?
I'm going to go with Bailey Birmingham on the women's side for the 25 points in the career high. She really stood out to me in that win. So, yeah, great two players that we got there.
Great two players we have for both squads, but we're going to send it to my favorite segment. It is Ray's Plays and Highlights. Let's kick things off with play number one right here. And this one, a good offensive play. It's a quick play but I like the space Royce Williams has, and this really is kind of the bread and butter for Williams, I would say myself.
Yeah, I like what you said there about how being a guard, it's all about trying to find space. And what we know about Royce Williams is that he's the most capable on the floor to find inches of space no matter what. So right here, he just drives inside to the free throw stripe, and his idea is to get his defender's hip going towards the basket. And you like what I see here. He kind of jump stopped. He used his hip to kind of separate him from the defender. And he's just going to knock down every mid-range shot that I've seen him shot this year. So he's done a really good job at space creating, and this is just a small addition of what Royce Williams has in his bag.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out too is you talked about him taking that left jab step, and if we want to stop it right here, you can tell this defender right here, his job is to play help side defense. Obviously, they're playing a man defense, so his job right here is to be up on Gare.
Yeah.
He has to come down, and that's what we saw him do. We saw him come down and stop, put that double team, because we have 1 and 2 right here. They both assert that double team.
Right.
But he goes, hey, I got him to stop. Now I can go help Gare, because everyone knows it's green light Gare. They know he can shoot the ball. But when you do that, and then you have an open look and it's one-on-one, just enough room for Royce Williams to pull up a shot. And that's really helped Royce with his shooting. But one thing to look at, Jackson, as we let this play continue out, is the spacing this Bearcats offense can give.
Yeah, no, the space is the biggest thing in this offense, and so I think that's a good thing to point out coming up into this next week.
All right, and let's take a look at our second play here, another offensive play for this Bearcats men's team. This one starts off a 3 from Gare, but a miss, and a rebound by Radigan with a putback by Garcia for a nice little corner 3. In Jackson, this has been one thing that's helped the Bearcats in the later half of the season, is their ability to make things happen offensively.
Yeah, no, I think Robbie Garcia has done a great job about just figuring out ways to find holes in the defense. I think when you look at this play, it's a good shot by Gare. I think Gare takes a good shot opportunity, but then Garcia just solidifies himself on the floor. That's what this Bearcat team and this Bearcat offense has done all season long. Obviously, here you're trying to figure out what number 11 is going to do, and he jumps quickly into Mays. So all Garcia has to do is slip behind in the hips of that defender, and he has an open 3. And like you said, Garcia really in the last half of the season has gotten more comfortable behind the arc, and I think this is a good way to show that, hey, he's not afraid to shoot it whenever he has a chance.
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to call the game yesterday. That was one thing I mentioned to Gabe Porter is, when you look at Garcia and you look at him as a forward, you wouldn't think he's able to sit here, hit into the top of the key or in the corner and hit a shot like that. But that's really nice to see, especially as a freshman who has kind of that forward build, but who can also play a shooting guard or maybe even move the ball up the court. I'm not saying that's in the cards, but
right.
If you need to do that and that's a last resort, that's definitely something you can do. But we talked about it with the first play. We're talking about it here with the second play. The Bearcats do a great job of when they need to space out their offense, they can do it. And we've seen that they can do it as they drive into the hoop, and they can do it beyond the perimeter. Let's take a look at our third and final play for Ray's plays and highlights. This one right here is another key to success for the Bearcats. And we talked about how the men's team has good perimeter offense, but right here, Jackson, this genuinely has been the key to success for the Bearcats offense. It's a lot of this cut and drive and then just a nice little finish with the right hand.
And like you said, it's all about cutting whenever you get the ball in your hands. And Bailey Birmingham, another guard who, like Royce Williams, loves to create space. And I think the Bearcat offense, both men's and women's, do a great job against man coverage defense, especially whenever they are ready to guard Birmingham beyond the arc, which who wouldn't? I mean, she is one of the best three-point shooters in the MIAA. So obviously this defender is going to come up to guard the 3, but all she has to do is come up, put it on the shoulder, right-hand touch, and it's money from there. So a great touch by Birmingham. This is just a good show of what this Bearcat offense entails. And also in this play, she could also kick it out over that side that's Brooklyn Stanley, but a good job by that defender to guard that. But yeah, Birmingham with an open shot, and yeah, it's a great play.
Yeah, like you mentioned, great play here by Birmingham. And as you mentioned, she pump fakes and then gets her defender on skates and is able to drive to the hoop and get a nice little Ginobili finish. But as you said, she has Stanley up here, and she has a couple other Bearcats on the left side where they can move that ball around. And that really has, as we mentioned, been the bread and butter, really the key to success for the Bearcats this season. But that'll do it for this week's edition of Weekend Sports Report. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we got more Bearcat update in just a minute.
Gabe, did you hear the news? New Game Plus is coming back with a season 2.
More like season new.
This season, we're switching things up with a fresh coat of paint
and a fresh crew of packs.
We've got it all from tech history to the hidden secrets of your average console.
And don't forget about our wacky shenanigans.
So make sure to catch New Game Plus Season 2.
Tuesdays at noon on KNWT.
Welcome back to Bearcat Update. Earlier this week, our reporter Cayden Simpson sat down with women's basketball head coach Austin Meyer. He talked about his coaching philosophy and what it meant to learn under Coach Ben McCullum. Here's a quick look at that interview.
Welcome back to another Bearcat exclusive interview. Today I'm here with the women's basketball coach, Austin Meyer. So I've talked to a couple of your other players. We talked to Boston Wan last week, and I talked to her about recruitment and what brought her to Northwest. So what I'm going to ask you is basically, what are your strategies when it comes to recruitment, and how do you show these young athletes that this is where they should come for their future academic and athletic careers?
Yeah, obviously there's a evaluation phase for us that we're on, out on the road in summer AAU. We're in gyms, high school gyms, watching them play, and then when we evaluate kind of people that we think fit our program from an athletic standpoint, it's all about connecting with those kids, getting them to campus. One thing that we do, typically we'll bring kids in the fall to a home football game. They can take a game day atmosphere in, get a chance to tour campus, meet our people, meet our some of our fans, some of our supporters, meet our team as well, and just have a lot to sell here at Northwest with the support we have, just the pride that people take in keeping our campus clean and the presentation of it and those type of things.
All right, Coach, this is your 8th season here as the head women's basketball coach, and then you spent a decade prior being an assistant coach for the men's team. What keeps bringing you back each and every season?
Yeah, I think just, I got recruited here by Coach Steve Tatmeyer and his staff, played here for 4 years, stuck around as a graduate assistant, and then got into coaching and had a chance to work, 9 years for Coach McCullum. But I think for me, it was a school that was fairly close to home, being from Kansas City, and then, got here as a player, and in the relationships you get here. Just everybody involved with Northwest, from faculty, staff, professors, athletic department, the community support that we get, all that stuff made it an easy place to recruit to. And so when we, obviously we won our first national championship on the men's side in 2017, and being able to recruit those high character kids, those talented kids, and bring them to Northwest, it was kind of an easy sell once we got it going, just because the visits kind of took care of themselves. When you're walking around, you're talking to people, you're meeting people, and then the alumni pride, people in Kansas City, Omaha, Iowa, that those people that talk about their experiences at Northwest, and that's a big deal as well.
So, Coach, you were a player for the men's team for about 4 years in the early 2000s, and you scored just under 1,300 points and then shot and made 215 threes. Has the way that you played as a player translated to how you coach?
Not necessarily. I wasn't very athletic. I was a little slow, especially defensively. So we're a pretty defensive-minded team. We're one of the top scoring efficiency defenses, year in and year out. And so, I guess I would consider myself a better defensive coach than I was a defensive player. But no, from an offensive standpoint, shot selection is always an important thing. Taking care of the basketball, just those fundamental things. For us, I guess you could say we play a little slower, but a lot of that is because we defend at a pretty high level, and it naturally slows the game down. So, we want to play at a faster pace when we get stops and look to push and those type of things. So, I don't know if it's totally similar to how we played. That was a long time ago. The game's evolved a little bit more with more ball screens and probably less just motion teams, but there's still some similarities from a fundamental standpoint.
So a couple questions ago, Coach, you mentioned that you were a part of the 2017 National Championship team as an assistant coach. What did you take from that translated to being a head coach?
Yeah, for sure. To be on a national championship level team, you got to be a connected team. Obviously, you got to work extremely hard from a preseason conditioning standpoint to your practices throughout the season. The other thing that's always tough for any team is you got to have really good players across the board. and there's only so many minutes to go around. So you're always going to have on good teams, successful teams, you're always going to have kids that are good players that aren't playing. And to keep your team chemistry at a high level, that can be a challenge at times. But the championship level teams, there was always a buy-in to whether a kid played 30 minutes or didn't play at all. It was all about winning and doing the process, those type of things. So just being a connected, tough, hardworking team is key.
So having worked under Coach McCollum for so long, what are some of the biggest takeaways you had from being under him?
I learned a ton in 9 years, and he's still, to this day, he's very influential and helpful when I reach out about things to him throughout the year. But, 9 years with him, our first couple years we struggled. I don't think we made the conference tournament, maybe our first 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. And just seeing his work ethic as a first-time head coach, how involved he was in recruiting and every little part of the program, and just attention to detail on the important things. And I was able to learn a ton from him, from an offensive standpoint as well, and just continuing to kind of feed off of what Coach Tapmeyer kind of ingrained in all of us as he played for Coach Tapmeyer as well. So it's cool to see what they're doing at Iowa. I know Coach Tapmeyer was at his game last night against Nebraska, and so just seeing the success there has been fun to watch.
So throughout your journey as a coach and a player, what is the most important thing that you've learned about yourself throughout the years?
Yeah, I think obviously the wins and losses is how you're measured, but I think just the relationship and building that hopefully we're building that culture, that environment that our kids are getting better each day, and hopefully that's translating to off the floor when they graduate and they get into the real world and those type of things. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then I think from a coaching standpoint is also, like, as coaches, we get such in an evaluation mode of, watching film, and we're watching, the last 7-8 games on an opponent. We're itemizing every single set play they run. We're watching every single personnel clip, whether they drive right, left, do they drive and spin, what are their tendencies, and finding that balance of delivering it to your team, but also not giving them too much information where they can just play off concepts and not that kind of paralysis by analysis if you're giving too much information. So there's always a balance there that I think we continue to learn as you grow as a coach.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. I've been your host, Hayden Lavaley, and this has been Bearcat Update, the provider of complete coverage of Northwest sports. We're live every Sunday at 2, and you can find us on YouTube at KNWT TV. Along with Bearcat Update, you can watch KNWT's other content. So thank you all for watching, and we'll be back in no time.